I love Smash. It's the best. I love it.
Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah. Hey everybody, I'm JoPro, and after months I have finally returned, and to celebrate, I have prepared for you my biggest ranking video yet, as you likely saw in the video's title, which is right next to the subscribe button. Oh, look at that. So, yeah, see it? Right there. No, not that one. Yeah, that one. Good job. Okay, thanks. Anyway, these rankings are for the standard form stages with hazards turned on and the default music playing. These are my personal opinions, but I encourage you to leave your own rankings in the comments. Also, since there are so many, I'll be going through most fairly quickly without too much explanation. The top 103 stages in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate starts now. In absolute dead last is the Great Cave Offensive. It's literally offensive. It's horrendously large and chaotic, making it nearly impossible to keep track of what's going on, and the hazards and lava suck. Good in concept, but terrible in reality. Mario Brothers. It's just Mario Brothers, but as a Smash stage. As you'll soon see, I'm not a big fan of the stages that are just NES or arcade games, because they never really work well for combat. Ultimately, Mario Brothers is the worst of them all. It's tight, cramped, ugly, miserable, and it wraps back onto itself, which means it's also nearly impossible to kill yourself, though you may desperately want to. Pac-Land. It's a Pac-Man stage, but not the good one from 3DS. If you're into colorful scrolling stages drawn by a preschooler with confusing stage hitboxes and no grabbable ledges, then you'll love this one. If you don't like these things, then you won't like Pac-Land. And kicking off the top 100 is Golden Plains. It's more plain than it is golden. This stage is an auto-scroller that shoves fighters back and forth while they attempt to collect 100 coins. Some people like this one. I do not. Balloon Fight. It's just Balloon Fight, but as a Smash stage. Like all the other arcade games turned into stages, this one's pretty miserable. Sure, it's nostalgic and cool, but no good for a proper fight. And the fish sucks. 75M, it's just Donkey Kong, but as a Smash stage. 75M is as annoying as the rest of the NES stages, but it gets the slight edge for being one of the first, so yay for originality. It may be charming and nostalgic, but it's a pain to fight on. And to make matters worse, the stage is now presented in pure 2D, instead of the cool 2.5D it had in Brawl and in Smash 4. Living Room. It's a deadly living room with giant Nintendogs plus cats in it. Living Room is just bad. It has walk-off edges, a boring aesthetic, and annoying blocks that fall on you for absolutely no good reason. Hannonbow. It's a stage from a game you've probably never played. Hannonbow is a little hard on the eyes and doesn't have much personality or playability going for it, so it's basically my ex-girlfriend. That's a joke. Just don't take that too seriously, okay? PictoChat 2. It's the mediocre PictoChat stage from Smash 3DS, not to be confused with the mediocre PictoChat stage from Brawl. This stage, like many so far, is great in concept, but just isn't one that many people come back to again and again. Wrecking Crew. It's just another NES game as a Smash stage, but this one did have some effort going into it. Thanks to some creative freedom and a reskin, it's not terrible, but it's also not very functional, especially with such a low boundary ceiling and too many layers. Dreamland GB, as in Gigabyte. It's just Kirby's Dream Land, but as a Smash stage. Is that joke getting repetitive? Well, just imagine playing these miserable little things. It's a mediocre stage with annoying auto-scroll components, bonus points for the Game Boy aesthetic and border, and negative bonus points for the stage boundaries being so far off the sides. For real, you can't see anything back here. Flat Zone X. It's a combination of two previous stages, Flat Zone and Flat Zone 2. Cool aesthetic and design ruined by annoying walk-off and cruel boundaries. Super Happy Tree. It's Yoshi's Island from the original Smash Bros., but renamed. A lot of the Yoshi stages blend together for me, but during my replay when making this list, I felt that this was the worst. If you require a legitimate reason why, feel free to blame it on the campy cloud way over here. It kinda breaks the stage. Sky World. It's the only Kid Icarus stage before Uprising released, which means there wasn't much for Sakurai to work with. Though it'd actually be quite good if it weren't for the destroyable floors. Since they're solid, you can't pass through them, which makes maneuvering the area a bit cumbersome. Then suddenly they gone and you dead. Mushroomy Kingdom. It's the Mushroom Kingdom, but roomy? I don't really get the name. I go back and forth on how I like this realistic art style, but I definitely still have reservations on the auto-scrolling mechanic. Auto-scrollers, when done right, can make for a fun stage, but this one's not quite there, though it could always be worse. Oh. Venom. It's the worst stage from Smash Melee besides Icicle Mountain, which isn't in Smash Ultimate, bless you Lord Sakurai for your grace. Venom isn't bad, we're officially out of bad territory, but it's far from functional. Fighters can easily camp on the lower wings, and the large fin on top forces the action to one side or the other. Almost 20 years later, and I still don't understand the design choices behind this one. WarioWare Inc. It's your favorite microgame collection, but as a Smash stage. I like this stage, I just don't like the microgames you're forced to play to get power-ups. They don't usually turn out too well unless all players collude to do them. Wily Castle. It's the stage with the super annoying boss. No, not that one, the other super annoying boss. Truly, Wily Castle would be a great stage if it weren't for the Yellow Devil, who interrupts fights constantly. Kill him? Sure, but he comes right back. Bye-bye again, but oh look, he's back. So you do it again, but oh, he back. Summit. It's the only ice climber stage in the game since Icicle Mountain didn't return. Summit is decent. Its sliding segment is impressive and the visuals look nice, but the slippery ice is no good and the bottom area makes it tough to get KOs. This one's forgettable. Palutena's Temple. It's one of the two largest Smash stages, more or less the same size as the Great Offensive Cave. Like many other big stages, it can be hard to keep track of your fighter in large matches. There are areas that are prone to camping, and some sections feel a bit empty and disconnected. Nonetheless, this one has some good theming, and if everyone agrees to stay in one section, it's actually pretty fun. Kalos Pokemon League. It's the worst Pokemon stage, and I may have mispronounced it. Kalos looks nice, but geez, the hazards ruin it. The ironworks and blazing chambers tighten the field of combat and make for pretty dangerous obstacles that interrupt play. But the flood chamber is just dumb, and gives way to some pretty pointless deaths. Peach's Castle 64. It's Peach's Castle, but looks exactly nothing like Peach's Castle. This stage is fun to play on, but is way too simple and feels like it was made on a stage builder. What really puzzles me is why Hyrule Castle from Smash 64 is a beautiful, large, mostly faithful representation of what Hyrule Castle should look like. But Peach's Castle isn't even a castle, but rather whatever this is. I don't remember any of this at her castle besides the trees and tile floors. Sure, the castle can be seen in the background, but the stage itself looks more like Whomp's Fortress, and so it ranks fairly low. Find Me. It's based on the Street Pass game from 3DS that nobody cares about. This stage is quite beautiful and features nicely sized areas at different heights. Unfortunately, the hazards and power-ups can get a little annoying, and the stage is just kind of forgettable. Mute City SNES. It's Mute City, nope, not the good one, the SNES one. While it may be the weaker Mute City for Smash Ultimate to include, it does look pretty nice, and is a good example of the NES and SNES games being used as stages. It's still a little tricky to play on, and not one of my personal favorites, but it's by no means terrible. Shadow Moses Island. It's the only Metal Gear stage, and one of the darkest stages in the game. This one has decent platform placement, but with opportunity for camping downstairs. It looks really nice, but has one major flaw. Those sidewalls prevent horizontal KOs and force fighters to be trapped bouncing back and forth. Not necessarily a bad thing, depending on how serious of a match you're having, but hey, I'm always serious. Gamer. It's what you are. Gamer is a good WarioWare stage and features a pretty dope art style and premise. Unfortunately, it gets a little old, and I've always found it only 10% tricky but 99% annoying to avoid mom's gazing eyes, creepy as they may be. Unova Pokemon League. I probably mispronounced that one too. It's the one everyone mixes up with Spear Pillar from Brawl. Unfortunately, it's just not as good as Spear Pillar, or any of the other 75 remaining stages. Moray Towers. It's one of the best stages in Splatoon, while also being the worst stage they could have chosen for Smash. Moray Towers looks nice, sounds nice, but is definitely the worst of the new stages in Ultimate. I'm sorry, but I just don't enjoy maneuvering through the layers and layers of platforms, and obviously the fighters who are lower down have an advantage. Super Mario Maker. It's Super Mario Maker, but as a Green Greens. It's Dreamland 64, but with more hazards. Green Greens is an absolute classic, with an amazing piece of music, but I have never been fond of the bombs and yellow blocks. In fact, I grow less fond of them by the day. I'm currently -4 fond of them. Yoshi's Island, Brawl. It's one of 3 stages originally called Yoshi's Island. This is another one of those I forget about a lot. It's got an adorable art style and isn't bad by any means, but it's just not great. New Pork City. It's New York City, but with less York and extra pork. I both love and hate this stage. As far as big stages go, it's not too difficult to keep track of your fighter, and the stage has lots of diversity in its elements and platform types, like a swinging ship, for example. The background, too, is super beautiful and detailed. Unfortunately, it's still a little big and empty and feels tossed together and disconnected, not unlike a custom stage. Mushroom Kingdom 2. It's based on Super Mario Bros. 2, which doesn't take place in the Mushroom Kingdom at all, so why is it called Mushroom Kingdom 2? Why? I don't understand. Please help me. Please, someone help me. Oh, God. Oh. It's pretty good. 3D Land. It's a Smash stage, but as a 3D land. Cut that out. When I began making this list, I expected this to be somewhere in the 90s, but when I replayed it, I found it to be surprisingly tolerable, as opposed to terrible. It still has annoying auto-scroller components, but the visuals and variety are well implemented. Smashville. It's Town and City, but not as good. Town and City. It's Smashville, but better. For real though, these two adorable stages are very similar, just with slightly different platforms and backgrounds based on the respective entries in the Animal Crossing series. I prefer Town and City for its platform layouts and background in motion, but neither are one of my favorites. Wii Fit Studio. It's the stage your mom would like. Wii Fit Studio is surprisingly good. It has walk-off edges, which makes for some pretty easy kills on innocent prey, but at least you can still see your reflection when jousting off the edge of the screen. I really like the aesthetic of this one, and the giant mirror is very pleasing. New Donk City Hall. It's a mediocre Smash stage based on a wonderful game. I feel like they could have done so much better than this. The stage itself is fine, but it's not all that visually detailed, and maybe it's just me, but the City Hall isn't that iconic or exciting, especially during the day. I mean, wouldn't it be a better setting if it were at night during the concert? Doesn't that look more exciting than this beige? Though it is a pretty great spot to take some pretty sexy wedding pictures of Peach and Mario. Do it, Mario, kiss her. Give her a good kiss for the wedding. Okay. Norfair. It's the weakest Metroid stage, but still pretty decent. It's a bit too similar to Brinstar in concept and layout, and the hazards get in the way of battle a bit too much, especially when more than 2 people are playing. Prism Tower. It's a pretty forgettable Pokemon stage. Prism Tower is probably in my top 5 least played stages in the entire series. But hey, I played it for this list, and it was good. I mean, the textures kinda suck, but the music and stage elements aren't bad. I still doubt it's a favorite of many, though. Tomodachi Life. It's a lot like the Luigi's Mansion stage, but as you guessed, not as good. This stage is adorable. I love the room interiors with Miis minding their own business while fighters are literally trying to kill each other in their home. Still, while cool to look at, it's not great to battle on since it has a few too many floors and the boundary ceiling's kinda low. Dreamland. It's Green Greens, but with less hazards. It also has only one piece of land instead of the 3 separate pieces Green Greens has. Dreamland is a fun, simple, classic stage. It's basically Battlefield, but with wispy woods blowing you. Arena Ferox. It's the mediocre version of Colosseum. The obstacles and stage layouts are okay at best, and I don't really care for the background. It's not a bad stage, but I think the other 2 Fire Emblem stages are better. Gower Plain. It's the stage with the super annoying boss. No, not that one, the other super annoying boss. However, unlike Wily Castle, this stage is big enough to keep your distance from the boss, and it's a little less frustrating to take him out. Plus, it's a gorgeous stage that's pretty spacious for a large battle. Just be careful of those lower platforms. Congo Jungle. It's Congo Jungle from Smash 64, but now with a K, as in Kong. K as in Kremling. K as in King K. Rool. K as in this stage is okay. Okay, I'm done now. Figure 8 Circuit. It's Mario Circuit from Brawl and Mario Circuit parentheses Brawl from Smash 4, and now Figure 8 Circuit from Ultimate. Woo! I love how you can keep track of the racers on the map in the background, and the layout is pretty fun, but it's not as good as Mario Circuit. Not to be confused with Mario Circuit or Mario Circuit parentheses Brawl. Mushroom Kingdom. It's the Mushroom Kingdom from Smash 64, not to be confused with the other Mushroom Kingdom 2, Mushroomy Kingdom, Mushroom Kingdom U, or Shadow Moses Island, though they all may sound very similar. I love the art style and the giant gaping hole in the center of the ground. Unfortunately, the block ceiling on the left side makes it pretty easy to survive and camp with high damage, but besides that, I really think this is one of the best Mushroom Kingdom stages in the game. Yoshi's Story. It's the best version of the 3 similar Yoshi stages. It still has cloud platforms like Super Happy Tree, but these aren't campy. Best of all, the music and visual detail is incredible, a true classic. Reset Bomb Fortress. It's what I do when I lose a battle. Surprisingly, the 3DS Smash was host to the best Kid Icarus stage yet, and the stage is better than ever in Ultimate. The first phase looks and plays a lot like Castle Siege, and the second phase is a giant area based on Kid Icarus Uprising. Thankfully, it's not too big and it fits well with the theming. Mario Circuit. It's Mario Circuit, not to be confused with Mario Circuit. Oh wait, I already made that joke. Strangely, Rainbow Road from 3DS didn't make it into Smash Ultimate, so Mario Circuit is the best Mario Kart stage in the game. It looks great, plays well, and has some fun and unique hazards. It can be tough to KO opponents when the track twists up to the ceiling, but how cool is it that the background itself acts as a hazard? Spirit Train. It's one of the best stages from the 3DS Smash, while also being the worst Zelda stage from any Smash. I'll be honest, I love Spirit Train in Ultimate. It looks absolutely gorgeous, the music is phenomenal, and the concept is fantastic. Unfortunately, it's a little tricky to play on during some of the phases, and not in a good way. Worst of all is falling off the back of the train is brutal. There's almost no chance for recovery if you hit the tracks, and so the stage loses favor due to that. Distant Planet. It's one of the best names ever for a stage. This stage is one of the true classics from Brawl. You've got your platforms in the middle, your deadly slope on the left, and your terrifying giant Bulborb on the right. And dang is that thing humongous. The single most satisfying thing you can do in Smash Bros. Is throw an opponent into the gullet of the beast. It's fantastic! Colosseum. It's basically the good version of Arena Ferox. This is another I don't play too often, but it is pretty good. The background and music are nice, the hazards are fair, and it boasts a great fighting atmosphere. It's a little too similar to Arena Ferox if you ask me, but it's still a good stage. And just cracking the top 50 is Green Hill Zone. It's the Sonic stage most people hate. This stage has terribly tight walk-off edges, and instead of flat ground, the majority of the stage is this stupid toilet bowl shape. But I've always thought it to be a fun, almost classic Smash Bros. Stage. Gerudo Valley. It's the Zelda stage everyone forgets about. Gerudo Valley is one of the most iconic locations in Zelda history, but makes for the least iconic Zelda stage in Smash. The stage is pretty typical without any standout design elements, with maybe the exception of the collapsible bridge. Still, it's a sleeper hit, and one I really enjoy brawling on despite its lack of charm and ambition. Great Plateau Tower. It's pretty good. Ultimate's Zelda stage is one of the best new stages in the game. It's beautiful, well-sized for 4 or fewer players, and has some amazing background elements like this tree, and this cloud, and that thing. And I know the roof of the tower has to be there in order for it to fit with the design from Breath of the Wild, and I know it can crumble away, but in my opinion, it still hurts the pacing, gameplay, and my overall enjoyment of the stage. Suzaku Castle. It's also pretty good. This one gets a lot of flack for having a very small main portion of the stage that's extremely close to a walk-off edge, while the rest of the stage is an assortment of tiny platforms. I get that and I agree with all those sentiments, but I kinda enjoy the contrast of the two sides of the stage and think this one is better than it's given credit for. Rainbow Cruise. It's one of the many melee stages people go nuts over. I love this stage, and it's for sure one of my favorites, but the more I think about it, the more I realize it's no masterpiece. I mean, sure, for an auto-scrolling stage, it's one of the absolute best, but even with phenomenal music, fair obstacles, and tons of nostalgia, it's still a scroller, and so it still has some of the problems all scrollers have. Duck Hunt. It's Duck Hunt, but as a Smash stage. This one is by far my favorite of the NES levels as stages. I love the aspect ratio, mechanic, flying ducks, and visuals. Plus you can stand in this tree, and rather than having walk-off edges, it has an actual drop-off and ledge, which makes this stage not that far from your final destination layout. Lilac Cruise. It's the one with the infamous clipping issues. Ask a competitive Smasher, they can explain it better than me. I love the adventure of this stage, and I would also say I like the platform placements and size pretty well. But despite the cool backgrounds, the scope still feels small. The ship, or whatever it is, isn't very desirable looking. It's more like a platform zooming through space, and, well, the curved arc of the floor can make fighting a problem. Big Blue. It's one of the most cherished stages of all time. Truly, Big Blue is well loved. Almost as renowned as Pokey Floats. Lol. But it has tons of problems. Yeah, the scope is incredible, especially back in 2001, and the music and visuals are just superb. It's highly impressive technically, but come on, I mean, half the roster can barely survive on it. The platforms are often too small for proper dodging and extensive combos, and, well, Oh, who cares? This thing rocks. Brinstar Depths. It's Brinstar, but with more depth. This one was one of my favorites as a kid, and it's a highly impressive technical feat for a melee stage. The central mechanic here is that the main stage periodically rotates while players are fighting on it, unlocking new areas to traverse while sentencing unlucky fighters to certain death. Spear Pillar. It's the stage everyone mixes up with Unova Pokemon League from 3DS, because it looks just like it. I adore the atmosphere of this stage. It's a bit creepy, features one of my favorite pieces of music in Smash, and has some cool stage effects brought to you by 3 different Pokemon. You could almost call them legendary. Frigate Orpheon. It's the only Metroid stage that screams Metroid Prime. This wonderful Metroid stage has some great platform action, wide boundaries, fantastic music, and an unsettling, ominous atmosphere. Proceeding over the entire brawl is the dastardly Parasite Queen, whose antics only add to an already great stage. Fourside. It's overshadowed by Onett. And while not being as good as Onett, Fourside is still a solid stage, especially in Ultimate where it really benefits from a fresh coat of paint. Fourside is kinda random in a deliciously weird way, and it has some tricky platforming while still feeling fair. Saffron City. It's the one people play just for the Pokemon cameos. Like Fourside, Saffron City has some tricky platforming and genuine weirdness in its city setting, but this one gets a higher placement for how timeless, charming, and iconic it is. Paper Mario. It's 1/3 a masterpiece. If you're familiar with my channel, you know this should be, in theory, my #1 stage, and if all 3 segments were based on the first 2 Paper Mario games, it might be. But it frustrates me to no end that Sticker Star received 66.666667% of the representation here. Nonetheless, this is one of the best looking stages in the game, and the default soundtrack is incredible. The TTYD segment can unfortunately be a little annoying to see what's going on, and the final Bowser Castle phase is no good with a lot of players, but still, come on, I adore this stage. Pilot Wings. It's one of the 2 amazing stages at Woohoo Island. Few things are cooler than fighting atop 2 planes as you take a tour of beautiful islands from the Pilot Wings games, and that's what makes this stage so great. One of the planes gives a slight advantage to fighting on the lower wings, but overall this stage is exhilarating. Umbra Clock Tower. It's the only stage that can also tell time. Bayonetta's stage was originally DLC for Smash 4, and I'll be honest, it's surprisingly great. Umbra Clock Tower features phenomenal visuals, a technically impressive background, and some nifty platforms that show up only to crumble away moments later. Castle Siege. It's a phenomenal Fire Emblem stage. While Colosseum and Arena Ferox feel a bit generic, Castle Siege oozes Fire Emblem. The first phase is my favorite, with its outstanding platform placements and visual design showcasing a visceral attack on the castle. Following a morph into Phase 2, the atmosphere is still amazing, but those edges will get you if you're not careful. Finally, the third phase is an epic finale with a delicious set piece. What better place for a fight to the death? Woohoo Island. It's the stage that makes you want to play Wii Sports Resort again. Oh wait, I want to do that anyway. While Pilot Wings gives you an aerial tour of Woohoo Island, this stage gets you up close and personal with various attractions at the resort. The beach, the stadium, and even the volcano. It's charming, it's unique, and it's beautiful. Windy Hill Zone. It's a huge step up from Green Hill Zone. Despite not actually being windy, this stage is fantastic. The varying platform heights and spinning windmill add a lot to the verticality and layers to this gorgeous stage. And although the right stage boundary is a little close for comfort, it's not too difficult to stay away from. Garden of Hope. It's less charming and original than Distant Planet, but much better. The layout and design of this one isn't exactly revolutionary, and it has nothing as great as the giant Bulborb, but it seems fair, balanced, and it even gives you an extra shot at recoveries courtesy of these nifty little contraptions. Well, unless Bowser refuses to let me get back up. Mushroom Kingdom U. It's the best Mushroom Kingdom stage, although it's based off of one of the weakest main series Mario games. This one gets credit for having some pretty great layouts and visual settings that change every so often, and while it's not totally memorable, it's extremely well suited for fights with any amount of players. Oh, and also, I mean what I said about the game it's based off of, NSMBU and NSMBU DX. Not taking that back. Magicant. It's a weird stage if you've never played the source game. Honestly, it's probably still weird even if you have played it. Not really sure what's going on in the background or what this assist trophy partner thing is helping me out for, but holy goodness, this place is stunning to look at. And I'm a broken record, but I really love the platform and floor layouts. Yoshi's Island Melee. It's the only Yoshi's Island based on Super Mario World rather than the Yoshi's Island games. Thankfully, this allows it to stand out from the rest with a greater emphasis on primary colors, background details, and verticality. I'm a fan of the drop-off on the left side and the chasm at center stage, but the walk-off slope on the right is as treacherous as they come. Jungle Japes. It's got Cranky Kong in it. The art style and shading that went into crafting this Twilight Rapids is incredible. It's one of the best looking stages in the game. It has several platforms with one layered above the rest, and I personally like the extra challenge of the rushing water below, though I really hate the claptraps. Hyrule Castle. It's the best stage from Smash 64. Hyrule Castle got right everything that Peach's Castle got wrong. This time you're actually fighting on the castle, not on whatever this mess is supposed to be. Throw in a snazzy remix of the Zelda theme, plenty of room and levels for combat, and a high ceiling for aerial shenanigans, and you've got the makings of a masterpiece. Almost. Because then there's the tornadoes. Ugh. O-Net. It's about drunk drivers, little kids, and a drugstore. What more needs to be said? O-Net is one of the most classics that have ever classicked. For me, this one screams nostalgia. I love the main hazard level design and environment. Big Battlefield. It's Battlefield, but big. Battlefield. It's big Battlefield, but small. These two stages are essentially the same layout, while one is better suited for battles with 5 or more players. Battlefield has always been a classic, and the modern design stands up great to this day. It's hazardless, symmetrical, distant from all boundaries, and has 3 fairly placed platforms. But still, it's just Battlefield, so while it is timeless and classic, there's better to be found. Pokemon Stadium 2. It's Pokemon Stadium, but the second one. I've never had much of a preference between Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2, and I usually think of them as one and the same, despite them having different transformations. Still though, the first one was the original, so this one loses placement a bit for being a copycat. Plus, the first one really is better. Congo Falls. It's got the DK rap, aka the best song ever.
DK! Donkey Kong is the leader of the bunch. You know him well, he's finally back to kick some tail. Tail.
Also, it's a rickety little thing on the edge of a deadly waterfall with hardly any room to maneuver around on, and is a ridiculous joy for 8-player Smash. I love it. Halberd. It's an epic adventure. This stage takes you on an exciting tour of the battleship Halberd and is filled with many pit stops with intense hazards. The default music for Halberd is great too. This stage truly feels like a climactic finale to an action film. A very PG-rated action film. Very PG, like PG-5. Like PG-5.5. Princess Peach's Castle. It's one of the most iconic stages in Smash Bros. Everything that Peach's Castle 64 got wrong, Peach's Castle Melee got right. Actually fighting on top of the castle? Check. Exciting fair hazards? Check. Beautiful visuals, a delicious default soundtrack, and explosions? Check. Delfino Plaza. It's the stage that makes you want to sacrifice your own offspring just to get Super Mario Sunshine HD. Besides some poor texture work, this stage is glorious. It's another fantastic tour-type stage that drops you off at several of the plaza's top locations. It's truly beautiful, great on the ears, and wonderful to fight on. In fact, it's so wonderful that I bested this level 9 CPU in about 3 or 4 seconds flat. I am putting that on my professional resume. Port Town Arrow Dive. It's the inferior version of Mute City, but still one of the best stages in Smash. If you take off the nostalgia glasses from Mute City, this one's actually pretty solid. It's host to some intense set pieces and exciting visuals, and boasts pretty balanced gameplay. Tortimer Island. It's the best stage originally exclusive to Smash 3DS. Tortimer Island is a fantastic template of what an Animal Crossing stage should be. Rather than a mostly stagnant platform above a nice background, Tortimer Island places the fight in the thick of the actual world, complete with monstrous sharks, fruit-bearing trees, and motorboats. This one's a classic. Luigi's Mansion. It's really good. Based on the original Luigi's Mansion, thank God, this stage retains all of the classic charm, eerie but catchy music, portrait ghosts, booze, and a delightful atmosphere. The multiple layers make this one pretty tricky, but the ability to destroy the entire mansion is a wonderful bonus. Mario Galaxy. It's probably my favorite Mario stage. Surprisingly, this stage isn't a tour-type stage like Woohoo Island and Delfino Plaza. Sakurai instead opted to use the weird spherical gravity of Mario Galaxy as the central mechanic, rather than traditional hazards. Thankfully, the battleground isn't a complete sphere that can be traversed 360 degrees, but that does mean there's some walk-off edges. They aren't a deal breaker though, and with an art style and music this nice, you probably won't even notice. Dracula's Castle. It's the best new stage in Ultimate, by far. Dracula's Castle has a gorgeously dark background, several layers of solid ground with unique drop-off points, and delightful stage interactions, all while maintaining fair, balanced combat potential. It also has a mummy. No other stage has a mummy. So there's that. Skyloft. It's the best tour-type stage. Skyloft improves upon stages like Delfino Plaza, Woohoo Island, and Prism Tower by providing a truly exhilarating tour with destinations that have extremely unique and different combat layouts. One is completely flat and wide, another is similar to the Great Plateau Tower, and seriously, there are a lot of stops, each geniusly designed while also showcasing the beautiful Skyloft. And the standard music on this one is so good. Great Bay. It's a great day for a great bay. It has several callouts from Majora's Mask, a well-detailed background, great music, a nice flat area for serious play, and tingle. It has tingle, thus it is good. And kicking off the top 10 is Pirate Ship from Brawl. It's number 10. The name for this one could be better and more descriptive than just Pirate Ship, but that's rather nitpicky. The stage itself is nearly perfect. There's only one hazard, which is easily avoided. It has multiple levels of platforms, lots of callbacks to the Wind Waker, and it doesn't have walk-off edges, nor can you fall off to your death, which makes this one well suited for players of all skill levels. And it's beautiful. Pokemon Stadium. It's Pokemon Stadium 2, but more original and without the 2. Pokemon Stadium is surely the best Pokemon stage. The transformations are cool and not very intrusive to battle, the original music is unbelievably great, and it's one of the most hype stages to battle on, especially if you're playing as all Pokemon. Fountain of Dreams. It's so many people's favorite stage. While it is the best Kirby stage for sure, Fountain of Dreams is in my opinion a tad overrated. It is undoubtedly beautiful and is basically a better version of Battlefield with very similar platform layouts, but it doesn't have too much going on. It's still one of my favorite stages for sure, but it's by no means the best. Midgar. It's the best third-party stage. Originally released as part of Smash 4's DLC, Midgar is an absolute treat. It sports one of the most detailed backgrounds in Smash history and tons of insane stage hazards that are completely and entirely fair, not too difficult to deal with, and just plain cool. Seriously, one splits the stage in two while another floods the area and sends the entire stage surfing away. It's super ambitious. Bridge of Eldin. It's the best stage from Brawl. This is by far one of my most played stages. Bridge of Eldin gets everything so right. It's a truly beautiful set piece with lovely music and an easily avoidable but still exciting stage hazard. When the center of the bridge is destroyed, it often divides the main battle into two separate ordeals, and it's loads of fun to punish players that try to cross over to the other side. It does have walk-off edges, but the stage is so huge and wide that they really shouldn't be an issue. Brinstar. It's got the best stage hazard in the history of stage hazards. Metroid's best stage is Brinstar. It's eerie but epic. It's ambitious but simple. It's one of the most iconic stages in Smash Bros. The platforms are arranged perfectly. The music and backgrounds are out of this world. In fact, they're another world entirely. And the main gimmick, yellow lava, that's definitely what it is the standout. That stuff burns terribly, but it's a hazard that can also at times save you from certain death, and it's great for funneling players together for a tighter battle. All that makes Brinstar exceptionally balanced. Corneria. It's Sector Z, but a whole lot smaller. The top four are all, in my opinion, worthy of number one. Corneria is back and better than ever in Ultimate, with a wondrously exciting action background and insanely great music. The stage is perfectly sized, has totally acceptable hazards, and a wonderful layout. The right side can be a little campy, and I'm not sure why the fighters are able to stay atop the ship without being blown off, but still, this one's a masterpiece. Temple. It's the best stage from Melee and the best Zelda stage ever. Temple comes back again and again, showing its sexy face in Brawl, Smash 4, and now in Ultimate. Some say it's too big, but Temple is nothing like Palutena's Temple or New Pork City. While large, it is also cohesive. The entire stage fits together as one piece, with tons of varying and unique areas for different types of battles. You can focus on aerial combat in this area. Have a balanced battle right over here. Have a fight to the death on this ledge here, try to survive in the damage chamber in the middle, or be an idiot by trying to impress your crush, chilling down on Suicide Island. It's a huge stage, but it's fluid. It tells a story. It's great for battles with any number of fighters, and it's literally perfection. Boxing Ring. It's the greatest stage from Smash 4. Oh my, is this one glorious. If you want an epic 1v1 throwdown with a friend, this is the place to go. Nothing will pump you up more than the screaming crowd, the intense colors, the hype music, seeing your fighter name on the Jumbotron, and heading into the ring itself. Personally, the walk-off doesn't bother me that much on this one, as I like to keep the combat in the ring as much as possible anyway. Boxing Ring is simply stellar. It's such an incredibly atmospheric and ambitious stage that is entirely balanced and literally oozes with the blood of what Smash Bros. Strives to be. Only one stage screams Super Smash Bros. More than this one. Final Destination. It is complete. It is pure. It is infinite. It is Super Smash Bros. Final Destination is the epitome of Smash Bros. Stages. Every other stage tries to wow with cool gimmicks, references to their source games, and nifty platform placements, but Final Destination doesn't need these things to be the best. It's unbeatable in that it is perfectly pure and without flaw, an absolutely flat stage, perfectly symmetrical to the boundaries, nothing to interrupt the flow of combat. Fairness, equality, harmony. These are the qualities that Final Destination boasts. Why else would you be able to set every other stage to an Omega Final Destination form if it wasn't proven to be perfection? With its epic music and incredibly animated background, there is no better place to fight. Final Destination will teach you to cry, it will get you to laugh, and it will always be there, a perfect constant. No fight on Final Destination is ever the same, only the stage is. No stage could be more deserving of first place. Well, my fellow Smash fans, that is my ranking of the 103 stages in Smash Ultimate. Let me know which are your favorites in the comments. Overall, my rankings averaged Melee as having the best stages by far with an average ranking of 32. Ultimate averaged 50th place, Brawl and Smash for Wii U stages both averaged at 54, Smash 64 at 59, and unsurprisingly taking up the rear were the stages from Smash 3DS, which averaged 67th place. What we can say for sure is that Smash rocks. Well, that and we miss Pokey Floats, and Woolly World, and Orbital Gate Assault, but mostly just Pokey Floats. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and see you next time.
You must rank everything, JoPro.
Oh no. No. No, 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 no!